Good evening everyone. Today we are going to start with our biology chapter 3, tissues, plant and animal tissues. So here basically we are going to learn about what are tissues, and we'll be learning different types of tissues, as well as there are different kinds of tissues in plants and in animals. Okay, so we are going to see it. First we'll be seeing plant tissues, and then we'll be seeing animal tissues. So basically we have our last chapter was cell, and you all know that cell is the basic functional and structural unit of life. That means a human being on whole, or a plant, or a animal like a cow or something like that, which is a multicellular organism, is altogether formed of millions of cells, isn't it? So millions of cells are working together, and we as a human being, or we as a animal, are doing our own functions. We are able to survive. So on a whole, these millions of cells are working for us, isn't it? But are they working in any manner? No. A specific structure has been decided, and in that way only we are surviving, or those cells are working for us. So what kind of structure is it? We'll see. So basically, tissue is what? Nothing but group of similar cells which are performing a specific function. So tissues are nothing but group of similar cells. Some group of cells will come together, and those will be similar cells. They will work together and perform a specific function. What kind of functions? So different kinds of cells are there. Those will be performing different functions. So specific cell has been specific tissues has been given specific task. So specific tissues will combine many cells together, for group of cells together, similar cells basically, and they will perform a specific task or a function. Okay, several tissues together contribute to some specific function inside a body, constitute an organ. That means these different kinds of tissues are there. Now they are coming together, and they are making an organ, and that is being called as an organ, and this organ will perform specific functions inside a body. Now they have given one example they have given as a tongue is an organ which is used to taste a food. Now this tongue is made up of what? So it is made up of epithelial cells, nerve cells, muscle cells. So it is made up of all this kind of different kind of cells, or tissues you can say, and one organ is made up of this three kind of cells or tissues, and this is making an organ. And what function does it do? It does the function of tasting of food, isn't it? Sensation, basically sensation, tasting of food, isn't it? So this is the organ made up of three kinds of tissues or cells. Now many organs acting together to perform specific life process constitute an organ system. So organ system like the digestive systems. So digestive system is the best example for the organ system. Why? Because see, while we are first, whenever we are eating, at that time tongue comes into action, then teeth, then the digestion occurs in stomach. So specific enzymes are also there working, isn't it? So basically the organ system like the digestive system is there. Many organs come together and they perform function, and later on the organ systems, like different organ systems are there. Those constitute a organism. Digestive system is there, respiratory system is there, circulatory system is there, nervous system is there. All the system will constitute the organism. Even one system fails or one organ fails, the organism will collapse, isn't it? Organisms won't be able to survive. So basically looking at the microscopic view, so the organism is made up of, we say that the organism is made up of an organ. Different organs are working for us, but basically if we see the microscopic view, then actually a cell is working for us. A cell is the basic, that's why it is called as the basic unit. So a particular cell is working for us. Now we'll see the plant tissues, because first topic is our plant tissues. Plant tissues are basically of two types: meristematic tissue and permanent tissue. That means the one which can multiply, or which can multiply and produce new cells, and the other one is the permanent tissue, which has lost its capability. So it is non-dividing cell. It is non-dividing cell. It cannot multiply. It cannot get multiplied. So this will remain as it is. That means its number will not get increased. But this meristematic tissues, this will get the number of the cells will get increased. This will multiply, right? And these are producing new cells, meristematic tissues. But these are not. These permanent kind of tissues are not. They have lost its capacity. They won't be able to do it. They will not produce new cells. Permanent cells will not produce new cells. Meristematic tissues will produce new cells. This is the only basic difference between meristematic tissue and the permanent tissue. So basically meristematic tissues are producing new cells, na? So where the growing parts are there of a plant, this all meristematic tissues will be found over there. So basically where the growing parts are, which are the growing parts? Tips of root. So it is going roots are going deep inside the earth to find water and minerals, isn't it? So at the tip, at the end of that roots, that meristematic tissues are found. At the stems, branches, that means branches are also growing. Stem is growing, isn't it? So all where the growing parts are there this meristematic tissues will found. These are also present between the bark and the wood of trees. Why? Because the diameter of the stem is also increased. See, look at the initial levels of that tree. If a plant, if it is in the initial stage, if a plant is small in the initial stage, at that time you will see that the size of the stem is small or less. But as it goes on increasing, or as it grows up, then you will find that the size of that diameter also gets increased. That stem is also increasing. That means the diameter is increasing of that stem. That means here growth is there, and growth is there means many cells are working there together. That means production of new cells is happening over there. That means meristematic tissues are present over there. So two main locations are there. First is what? The ends or the tips of the plants where it is growing. So downside also it is growing, and upside also it is growing, isn't it? So downside in the tips of the roots and the tips of the branches and stem, and also it is growing in the diameter. The diameter of that stem will also grow, or it will get increased. So there also the meristematic tissues are present. Next is chief characteristics of meristematic tissues. Now this meristematic tissues are such important because see, growth is totally dependent on this meristematic tissues. So these are very important tissues, isn't it? So cells are small, cells are usually cubical, cell wall is thin, nuclei are large. Look here in this figure, I have taken this from your textbook only. This is the root, tip of the root, or a leaf, tip of the leaf. So here this tip is there. This is the meristem. That means it will get increase in this way. This will get increase in this way. Okay, this stem is there, na? This is getting increased. So this here the meristematic tissues are there, and the production of cells will be occurring over here, and that means it will grow upside. It will grow upside. See here, leaf they have shown. So leaf is also having that cells, that meristematic tissues or meristem. Axillary bud is there, means here also there are chances that branches will grow out. So these are the axillary buds. All these are the growing parts of a plant, and hence all these parts are having the meristems or meristematic tissues. Now look at the figure. Here is the microscopic view of the meristematic tissues or meristem. So these are many cells coming together and forming the meristematic tissues. So cells are how? These are cubical. They are saying that these are cubical. And nucleus is large. See, nucleus is large, prominent, isn't it? We can see the nucleus very nicely. We can see it. It is prominent. And cell walls, see, look at the cell walls, those are thin, so no thick cell walls are there, isn't it? And vacuoles are not present in this, no vacuoles are there, so vacuoles are absent. Also see here they have shown that visible during the cell divisions, that is chromosomes. So here they have shown that cell division is taking place, new cells are being produced, as they have capacity to produce new cells. Here they are saying that new cells are getting produced. So basically nucleus is been divided, and so chromosomes are been seen over here, visible during the cell division. So new cells are also there, and these are tightly packed, no intercellular spaces are there. See here, no intercellular spaces are there. So basically when you will practice this meristematic tissue, do practice this figure also, so that it will be helpful for you to write down characteristics of the meristematic tissues. The figure itself shows you many characteristics, and you don't have to actually learn all these things. The figure itself says many things, isn't it? So understand the figure very nicely. And the last one is what? The new cells thus provides are transformed into the mature permanent tissues. That means first the meristematic tissues are formed, and then later on those are transformed to the permanent tissue. Two types of tissues are there, na, plant tissues, the permanent one and the meristematic tissues. So first meristematic tissues are there, and then those meristematic tissues, new cells thus produced, are transformed into the permanent tissues. That means this new cells will be transformed to the permanent tissues. So meristematic tissues are of two types, apical or terminal, and cambium or the lateral. That means here location wise they have shown that the location where the tips of roots, stems, you can say that this where the upside and downside, where both the sides, the location wise if we see, then this will be called as the terminal or apical meristematic tissues. And the one where the diameter is getting increased, or where the diameter of the stem is getting increased, at that time we can say that this is called as the lateral meristematic tissues. And where it is situated, it is located below the bark. So permanent tissues are made up of cells which have lost their ability to divide. Now they cannot divide. I have told you previously, meristematic tissues are the one which can multiply itself, isn't it? They are producing new cells, but here this kind of tissues, permanent tissues, they cannot produce new cells. They have lost its capability to divide, isn't it? So cell division is not occurring here. New cells will not form over here. Take a permanent shape to perform some permanent functions. Now these permanent tissues will have permanent shape, and they will perform some permanent functions. They may be living or dead. Living or dead is what? It is the terms where if nucleus is present, then it will be living. If nucleus is absent, then it will be called as the dead one. So basically permanent tissues are of three types. Three main types are there, permanent tissues. First is this green one I have shown for three main types: protective tissue, supporting tissue, and conducting tissue. This is a conducting tissue, okay? Conducting tissue. So conducting tissue, supporting tissue, and protective tissue. Protective tissue don't have any type, but supporting tissues are having three types in it, and conducting tissue is having two types, okay? So what are the types of supporting tissues? Parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma. And conducting tissues are of two types, xylem and phloem. So see, name itself suggests you protective is these tissues will do the function of protection. Supporting tissues, this will do the supporting functions. And this conducting means what? Conducting of, like, you can say water and minerals, whatever required, that these are the functions of the conducting tissues. Let us see more about the protective tissue and the supporting tissue, okay? So protective tissue, cells with thick walls found on the surface of roots, stem, and leaves. See, these tissues are having thick walls, and they are found on surface. See, they are found on surface, that's why they are doing the protection. So their function is to do protection, so that's why they are called as a protective tissue. They are found on the surface. Example one they have given as the epidermis of the leaves, which secretes waxy waterproof material. Best example is the leaves of lotus. lotus leaf is having very waxy coating, so you can say that on the epidermis of leaves that waxy material is there, waxy coating is there, and that is made up of protective tissue. Next is the cork cells in the barks contain another strong waterproof material. So cork cells are also dead cells, and these are protective tissues, and these cork cells are present in the barks of trees. Supporting tissue. Now there are three types of supporting tissues: parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma. So parenchyma is large thin walled cells, oval, circular, or polygonal in shape. So there may be different kinds of shapes in different plants. They have single large vacuole and found in soft parts of a plant such as cortex and pitch. They are found in the soft parts of a plant. They may store food in potatoes and provide temporary support to the plant. They even give the support function. They also function as a support system. Okay. Parenchyma. Now chlorenchyma is the type in a parenchyma. When this parenchyma cells are having chloroplast or chlorophyll inside it, then you can say those type of cells, parenchyma cells, are being called as a chlorenchyma. See, some parenchyma cells are not having that chlorophyll or chloroplast, but some parenchyma cells are having that chlorophyll or chloroplast, and hence they are called as the chlorenchyma. If they are not having chlorophyll or chloroplast, then those are the normal parenchyma cells. But if they are filled with the chlorophyll or chloroplast, then you can say that cells are called as the chlorenchyma cells. Here they have given the figure that these are, see, the large vacuoles. This grey color they have shown, this is the vacuole, and black color shown, that is the nucleus of this parenchyma cells. Now this green color is been filled, that is chloroplast, and that is called as the chlorenchyma, isn't it? Collenchyma are elongated cells, and cell wall is thickened at the corners. So these are the elongated cells. See, this is the figure given. So these are the elongated cells, long cells, and cell walls are thickened at the corners. So at corners only cell walls are thick. Okay. So this green part, green is mean the collenchyma. These are found in the leaf stalks and epidermis of stem. So these leaf stalks are made up of this collenchyma. Leaf stalks are, you can say that the portion which is holding to the stem of the leaf. So that is the leaf stalk, and helps to support the parts of plant. So it is also performing the support function. And sclerenchyma. These are long narrow cells which have become dead. So these are dead cells. Very thick cell walls due to deposition of lignin. Now lignin is a component like chlorophyll is there. So there is a chemical substance called as lignin also. So it is having its own functions. We are not into it, but because of this substance, these cell walls of these sclerenchyma tissues become very thick, provide strength to plant parts found in stems and veins of the leaves. Where is this found? Stems and veins of the leaves. So basically these are dead cells. Now see, ropes, mats, and certain textiles made from the fibers such as linen and hemp are the sclerenchyma cells. So you have used ropes, mats made up of this textile called as linen, hemp. So these are nothing but the sclerenchyma cells. There are stone cells. They are saying that stone cells, that means these cells which are very hard. Example they have given as hard walnut shells, and gritty masses in skin and pulp of pears. These are nothing but the sclerenchyma cells. So we'll stop today here, and rest part we'll see in the next lecture.